everyone, Nick Peters here again, the gaming theologian, and I affirm the virgin birth. Why are we here? Let's think about that. Okay, so last time we went to the land of summon monsters and we raided the Sylvan Cave. Fortunately, we found it much easier than expected. Well, now I'm wondering why my game seems to be malfunctioning here. Let's just start this all over again and see if it works differently. So, tonight we're going to go back to the main story. And we're going to go into the Seal Cave. Well, this is being... Oh, there it is. What makes something worthwhile? Why are we here? I started thinking about this when I was thinking about this cave today, and I have no idea what is going on here. This is so weird tonight. Where we'll make do. I started thinking about this as I realized that we were going to be going through here tonight. And yeah, this whole thing is just acting weird tonight. Because of this enemy in here. The trapdoor. You know, when the trapdoor does that, whichever one of your party members he locks in on, that one's going to get an insta-kill if a trapdoor manages to attack. We're going to try to avoid that. And that got me thinking first about the traps of sin in our own lives, and how we should strive to avoid temptation. For instance, when I first moved here to New Orleans, I had a friend back in Tennessee who wanted to gift me a welcome mat. And he told me, pick whichever mat you want, and I'll purchase it for you. Well, I saw a Legend of Zelda mat that said something like, in order to get in, you need the boss key to enter. Well, that seems very good, very appropriate for me. So I sent him a link to it, and he said back to me, what's the girl gonna think if she comes over to your apartment? To which I said, she's not coming to my apartment. It's a clear line I've drawn in my relationships with women. I don't go in places where I'm alone with women that I am not related to. Of course, I have to lighten it some if I'm dating, but if I'm dating, I'm not going to bring them to my apartment, because that puts me in too big of a place of temptation. And I don't want to be foolhardy and say, I can overcome any temptation that comes my way. That just leads to pride, wherever that is pride. And one of my rules is one of the first signs that you're going to fall for temptation is you think you cannot fall for it. Oh, that explains what it was. My Switch was downloading some software. So, that's why I don't ride alone with women in cars. I don't get in an elevator alone with a woman like that. Especially after the age of Me Too and any accusation being thrown at you, and men are no longer being given the benefit of the doubt. So, why risk it? You know, I think Cain needs a stronger weapon now. I want to give him the poison axe. And you know the temptations that you face in your own life. Maybe you struggle with pornography, or alcohol, or overeating, any number of things. And you know, you don't give, or you're not supposed to give it a chance. You don't put yourself in a place where you will be easily tempted to do something. And as a divorced man, yes, temptation is real. So I avoid it best I can. But then I thought about this some more. And I thought, why do we avoid temptation? You know, we sometimes have a simplistic answer if saying, well, because to give in temptation is sin. Okay. What makes sin a big deal? And if we say, where sin is what keeps us from going to heaven, we've missed the real point here. Because while that is true, we're supposed to live righteous lives because we think there is something greater out there worth living for. We think the glory of God is worth living for. You know, in the past, this was known as the summum bonum, the highest good. In medieval and Catholic theology, and should be the same case in Protestant theology, might add, the highest good was said to be seeing God. It's hard to think of a good that'd be higher than that. This would be seen ultimately as what would be known as the telos of man. Okay, now while this does make me weaker here, I'm going to see if, yeah, give us two powerful weapons. The summum bonum was said that the ultimate goal of man is to see God. We really need to recover this in Protestant theology and thinking, because too often we make it just going to heaven when you die, as if that's the point. I often like to say But when we talk about our doctrine of heaven, we say, oh yeah, there's going to be streets of gold, you're going to live in a mansion, you'll live forever, you'll see your dead loved ones, and oh yeah, God's there too if you're into that kind of thing. Spoken that way, it sounds kind of silly, but isn't that exactly what we often imply with our ideas? That, yeah, God's there, and that's okay, but it's what I've called treating God as an afterthought. That He's not the real joy of heaven. We think about all the other things more. I'm not saying we do this intentionally, but this seems to be the impression that's given when we talk about God. And as I pondered this, I thought that we really don't have much of a teleology today. And if I had to guess when this would happen, I know a lot of my Catholic friends might think it happened at the Reformation, and I disagree. I'm pretty sure all the reformers would have also said that seeing God was the highest good as well. I think you have to get away from the concept of God before you change that. And I'd base that on saying that the Enlightenment period is when things change that way. When we started saying there was that man did not live to see God, then what is man going to live for? And in this case, man's highest good is going to be happiness. Wait, are you saying that the medievals and reformers and everyone else was opposed to human happiness? Absolutely not. But they also saw that man could not find true happiness living apart from God. That it would be nonsense to say a man was living his life against the good of God and was having true happiness at the same time. Now, he could have a strong emotion or feeling of happiness, but it would not be the real happiness that he was meant to have. He would be trading a greater good for a far lesser good. Gotta say, this refueling my magic isn't working so well so far. So, human happiness was put in its proper place, as if saying, there is no true happiness apart from God. And that's a statement we should not have any trouble believing. But if God isn't, then the highest good we can have is happiness. But that happiness doesn't really have any guidelines attached to it. It can easily get us to the idea of, if it feels good, do it. And why not? Why shouldn't you? Feels good? Do it. That just means, when we talk about happiness, then, we don't mean our proper place in the universe. We usually tend to mean an emotional high. and emotions, by their nature, are always temporary. We'll see if we can get some magic points from the King Naga, who seems to look strangely like a female by the face, but we'll see. No, that's not working well either. So let's see what that was. Bolt of Silence. I don't remember that one. Here. Ah, Bell of Silence. Okay. And ultimately, isn't that what many of us, even in Christian circles, are chasing after today, is trying to get that feeling of happiness. Now, I'm not saying when a feeling of happiness comes along that that's something bad. By all means, enjoy it. But I am saying we cannot make a diet out of it. We should do that which is right because it is right. And ultimately, for the glory of God. See, I remember when I came here, my RA at the time, she and her husband were newlyweds. And I was working at the post office one day, and she comes in and she's talking about how they're still newly married and what it's like. And she says, "Oh, I hope this feeling lasts forever." And I immediately say, "It won't." Shot that one down then and there because I consider it extremely important to do so. And I said, but that's also the good news. Because when that feeling fades, you have a chance to build something longer, better, something that will outlast your emotions. And that's when true love fully develops, because it's not dependent on how you feel at the time. It's dependent on a reality of what you and your spouse are building together. And isn't it bizarre, if we're Christians, to say, yeah, I made a promise before God and man to love and honor this person till death do me part, but I'm just not feeling it, so God will understand. Your promises do not depend on your feelings. That's setting you up for disaster. I really don't want to use a tent right now, so I won't. You do good because you seek the glory of God in what you do. But if we don't have that glory, like I said, then we just seek for whatever makes us feel good. And along the way, we also lose morality at the same time because there's nothing beyond us that tells us right and wrong. There's no ultimate foundation for goodness. And now we have a last crystal. And if you're thinking this has been too easy so far, well, you're right. Walls are moving. Removing a crystal set off a trap. This is one of the hardest bosses, I think, the evil wall. We're definitely going to cast slow on this thing. Fortunately, Stone Gaze takes some time on his part. I remember when I made it to this boss for the first time, I had such a hard time, but I didn't know all the things that I know now about beating this boss, and about all the things, like I didn't have Leviathan, I didn't know about him at the time. And if he gets too close, he starts using Crutch on all your team, which is pretty much an insta-cure. And it happens more and more, so there's no escaping it. Real pain. Because he's really not going to cure you with damage. He's going to cure you by closing in on you. Well, that's not working well. Well, there we go. What happens then when we remove morality from the picture? Did the Enlightenment make us better? Well, no, it didn't. What's the evidence of that? Well, look at how bad the French Revolution was. Contrast that to our own American Revolution in a country founded on Christian standards. No, we were not made a theocracy, but Christian thinking was highly influential on the part of the founding fathers. Now, you move further in time. What do you see? You see 2 world wars, which includes Hitler. You see communist regimes, which made sure to teach atheism strongly because the state could not have a competitor from something greater than it, namely God. You see mass murders under people like Pol Pot and under the Khmer Rouge and so many other things out there. And now we're in a state known as Pride Month, where people go out and do nude acts in parades in front of children, even. And we're told we must celebrate this. We have numerous children dying in the womb under abortion. We don't even know what a man or a woman is anymore, thanks to transgender ideology. We are a very crazy people. We are extremely neurotic, extremely narcissistic. So many people are living with great depression. And I'm not saying anything against people who get help for depression. I mean, ever since my divorce was finalized, I've been on anxiety medication because of how bad things are. That I had so much of my world fall apart. But I'm also taking steps to get past that. And if you have to do that, I'm not knocking you for that. Okay, I'm applauding you to do whatever you can, as long as it's not immoral, to help with your mental health. But I really do not think we are better off, because many of us today, we honestly do not know what we are living for. We go through life day by day, just going through the motions, as it were. There's nothing greater than just getting a temporary high from anything. And our relationships can just become meaningless. Sex doesn't become about bringing new life into the world, but it becomes about what you can get out of it. Which the medievals and reformers would have no problem, I don't think, with people getting good out of sex. But they would have a problem with you doing it apart from God. Aquinas has even said at one point in the Summa that one of the downsides of a fall is we don't enjoy sex the way we were meant to. Yes, that is Thomas Aquinas who said that. And it's really startling when you think about it, but yeah, that's the case, which a lot of you guys out there are thinking, I've never been more upset with Adam than I am now. Okay, let's get out of here. And a voice telling Cain to bring him the crystal. He belongs to him. Go Bez. Now Cain assures us he's no longer under his control. Now Gobaz can activate the Tower of Babel and reach the moon. There's the Tower of Babel doing its thing. And the way to the moon is open. Where Gobaz can get whatever his power is that he wants. Which, yeah, there's another example. There's nothing wrong with wanting power, but wanting it apart from God. See, it reminds me of what C.S. Lewis once said, that if you aim for earth, you miss heaven and earth both. But if you aim for heaven, you get earth thrown in. So now we return to the king. Gobaz holds all the crystals. Nothing we can do, unless the legend of the lunar whale is true. A huge ship spoken of in legend. One born of a dragon. Mysidian legend. And Cecil explains it's the home of mages in the overworld, which guided us surprised it truly exists. And Guy says that he must be praying for the lunar whale. But how do they get the surface sealed off? They can't get near the Tower of Babel either. Well, here he is again, Sid, to help us. He's going to attach a drill to the Falcon's bow so we can get up there. See, if you put God first, everything else does fall into place. And how could you ever find true and lasting happiness apart from God? It can't be done. It's why you avoid the trap of sin, then. Such as, being highly distracted by a beautiful woman when you're supposed to be doing something else. You kind of wish you knew what the words were going on at this point. And how Sid wore down a ninja is a mystery to everyone. But at this point, Sid collapses. And just giving some assurances there. But everything's done. So, as I was saying, you're not going to find true happiness apart from God. Even all you're doing is kind of self-medicating with things that won't bring you lasting joy. And now we're busting through here again. And our first stop in the overworld is go to Baron. Now, why are we going here? Yeah, I'm going to equip Rosa with thunder arrows. If I haven't. Yep. Because if you remember, when we met the ghost of a king, he told us to go to the land of summoned monsters and come back when we had finished. Where? We've finished. It wasn't that way. Oh, did I miss an item here? Let's go back over here. So you have returned. Your Majesty, who says he's been slain, but he's been given eternal power. And the summoner can call whenever his help is required. But we must be tested first. And if you remember, Odin, who we are fighting now, lost when lightning hit his sword. So we're just going to have to make our own lightning, because you have to beat this guy in a specified time. If you don't, he does pretty much an insta-kill attack on everyone. It's drawing back the sword is the time to get nervous. But fortunately, we're highly equipped. Now, when you summon Odin, it's a mixed bag. Either he will instantly kill all your enemies in battle, or he will do nothing. Now, there's a couple of other things we need to do as well. I'm going to do one more before we head over to Mysidia. And that's we're going to go back and get the original airship. Now, why are we doing that? Because we need this, the hovercraft. And why do we need the hovercraft? Well, there's a lot of shallows around here. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, I see what's going on here. Finally. Go to this cave down here. And Dad found an unusual ore, but he'd rather find a rare animal tail, such as a rat tail. And there's the adamantite, which, if you remember, that Smith was waiting for. Now, if you ever got another tail later on, he'd give you some more adamantite, which you could use to make adamant armor. I don't think I've ever done that on my own in the game because the pink puff enemies are super, super rare where they're at. And I don't intend on showing that to you, but never stop to make the bull. We're going to go meet with Young's wife. I think she's in this tower. He's in the underworld. Why doesn't he come home? I cry, she just has me eye. Take this and give him a smack on the noggin. A frying pan. This is a very violent woman. So now we've done those two things. Now we're going to fly off to Mysidia. Now, if you're taking a look at the map here, you could picture that this looks like a dragon's mouth right here. So in Mysidia, here comes the Elder all ready for us, asking him to join him at the Tower of Worship. One born of a dragon, bearing darkness and light, will rise to the heavens, over the still land. The moon's light eternal brings a promise to earth, with bounty and grace. And now is the time for everyone to pray for the legend to come true. It's your thinking, Quinn, we have done this to begin with. And out of the mouth of a dragon, their prayers have been answered. It's never said who they're praying to, though, but great and glorious vessel itself, the lunar whale, known as the big whale in the original game. And the elder says, a strange voice addressed me during our prayers. Said, you're to fly to the moon, and someone awaits you there. The lunar whale has a crystal inside of navigation between here and the moon. So we've got a cool, awesome new airship, and we're going to go to the underworld first. Because the lunar whale does not go underground. So first stop, take this adamantite and go see the smith. And we hand him a sword of legend, and he's going to give it a new life. And now we have Excalibur. And look at how much more powerful that thing is. Master is back to his old self. And we have one more stop to make. We're having to go back through there again. Yes, that dreaded place. The Sylvan Cave. So, what I want you all to really get from all this, though, is to think about why you're living. Why do you do what you do? And to realize you will only truly find happiness in God. And that doesn't mean everything you do at that point is directly God at that point on. But it means everything, even your gaming, fits within your Christian worldview. And that you appreciate everything you have as a gift of God. You know, 1 Timothy 6:17, that God gives us everything richly for our enjoyment. It's definitely a true statement. We are meant to enjoy the world God created and the good gifts He's given us. But we won't find joy if we try to go against Him in this life. We might find some temporary happiness, sure, but we won't find true lasting joy because we'll be going against what we were made to be. The Eastern Orthodox perspective is very big. They call it theosis. From Athanasius, where he said God became man so that man might become God. We don't mean this in a Mormon sense. As an Orthodox priest I know of says that we are to be by grace what Christ is by nature, not in deity, but in holiness. God is the one who knows best how we should live and made us to be what we should be. And when we stop doing that, we in essence cease to be human. So we're more like little Edge there, who's got turned into a frog even. So, live your life, but remember God as you live it. Remember what you're made for. Remember how you're supposed to live. That you do have a purpose. You're not supposed to just go for an emotional high. That you can enjoy the emotions when they come, but you can't make a steady diet out of them. I hope that's given you all a lot to think about tonight. We've got a little bit more to say here. We'll do here before we wrap up for the night. Pow. Is it time for training? Allow me to sleep a little more. And Young's surprised to see us. The self saved his life. And Young offers to join us again. The self say no. Easy, your edge of Evelyn. Don't worry, I can fill in for you. You're a ninja by myself. And myself say no, we're fighting your place instead. She's a summoner. She can call us at any time. Now, there was a bug in the original game that every time you use the summon spell for the sylphs, that Rydia got restored from magic she used to summon them. So, it was kind of a free bonus you could get. Now, we're not going to go to the magic pot to heal, and I'll show you why. First, we're going to go back to Fabul and talk to Fabul's wife, or Young's wife again, Black. Give her back the frying pan, and she gives us a knife in exchange. You know, think, a knife, okay, well, that sounds alright. Here's the fascinating thing about the knife. You can use it one time. Yeah, the king's still resting from his injuries. I mean, how much time does he need to heal, and who's running this kingdom? Anyway, with a knife, you can only use it one time. It's used with Edge's throw command, and it does the max damage, 9,999. That's a worthwhile weapon. So we're going to save that until we really need it. So now we've done everything we can here on the world. Let's go to the big well, or lunar well. And here, it comes with its own inn, so you can rest at any time. The lunar well also has the big chocobo, so you can deposit any items with it that you don't want to carry with you. Now, what you can do is just fly around the world as is and see everything that needs to be seen. Yeah, you can do this, but I know what you are really wanting me to do. And we are good for lunch. And now we are at the moon. The third big world in the game that you can explore. And this is the home of where the naming ways came from, except here they are known as the humming ways. I might buy some of the orange things. Hang on. Yeah, but I don't understand what we mean by changing names. Yep, here's naming way still here. And yep, there are monsters on the moon, just like everywhere else. In this place right here, this is the Cave of Bahamut. And that is where we will go next time. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Donate to me on Patreon. It really means a lot. I really need your support. And remember what you're really living for. It's not just a temporary high. You're living for the glory of God. I'm Nick Peters. I affirm the virgin birth. And next time, we will explore the Cave of Bahamut.